Could you talk about what is Galactic Partnership and what is Galactic Partnership Integration, the program, and why it is important for us?
Well, Galactic Partner Integration was something that came to me from dreams and channeling. And I just basically knew that I needed to get this thing out there, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what a galactic partner was. I thought it was some being outside of ourselves that was going to come through while I was in trance. And it turns out that it's different from that. And I just encourage everybody to go through the first series and then the second series to find out what that means to them. Because even though the meditation that I created around it was developed from the group that came or came live to the Zooms, it still has a very personal touch for anybody who's listened to it. Everybody tells me they think that I made that meditation just for them. So I just encourage everybody to check it out and find out what it means to them and who their galactic partner is.
While we are doing this program, you actually ask us questions. I find a lot of questions that are the most personal, they're actually most universal. It's the feelings that are most universal. Like think about things that make you feel embarrassed or make you feel despair or sad. These things are very personal, but the feelings are actually very universal. And your answers come through actually help to clear the feelings and emotions because it is the feelings and emotions that the charge behind our thoughts that trouble us, that keep us in the loop, right? But when we get the edited meditation from you, our questions are edited out. So we only hear your answers or our galactic partners' answers, right? So that's why we feel like, wow, this meditation is so deep. It's touching us on a very deep level, on a very personal level. And I think this is why it is so personal because it comes from our own personal questions. But it's also very universal to many people because the feelings are very universal.
Yeah, and this second series was really based on community. So when I first came to the group, and I'll describe how it works so everybody can know what we're talking about. But when I came to the group, I said, this time we're being asked to ask questions of me while I'm in trance that have to do with an overarching community, not just what we personally want to know the answers to. And so everybody's questions were really geared towards that. So the way it works is I just have an inspiration. I know that it's time to do another galactic partner integration. And then I just reach out to people I know and say, do you want to be part of this? And then we just meet live on Zoom. And I go into trance and I come out with some overarching messages, and all of this is recorded. So I have these overarching messages that just really need to come through. And then my guides just basically that I'm channeling just ask everybody in the group and and I call you by name, like, what is your question? What is your question? And then because I'm in trance, I just answer it. And it is that person's galactic partner, usually, that comes through me. And so I answer that question. And then after we're done, of course, I edit out anybody else's voice. And then it just becomes a really beautiful trance channeled meditation. And of course, I have music that is specially made. Nobody else even owns this music. And I have this made for each integration. And even just the process of making that music is very personal. I channel what feelings need to come forward and what special frequencies need to be heard. And then I tell Vera, Atomic Cat, who makes the music, and then she says, okay, yeah, I think I know what I need to do here. And we kind of go back and forth on that because the music is so important in helping us integrate the messages.
Yeah, amazing. The music piece, I just want to talk about. I remember very clearly the first series, the first session. I think you used the music from a chamber from somewhere, and actually the sounds were from actual people chanting. It's not digitally made.
Yes, in one of the first series, I had a recording from the King's Chamber in Egypt when they tune the chamber. And it was actual, as you said, chanting, sort of singing. And so Vera took that recording and infused it with some other sounds. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I love that one too.
Yeah, I love it. Music is powerful because it's frequency and it bypasses our conscious mind, goes into subconscious mind, go into our body, even affect our cellular level. And the right music can open channels and portals for us and help us to release. And I think I shared with you that even without you saying a thing, when I heard the music, I was crying already. I was releasing already. That's how powerful the music can be.
Yeah, it just reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from this second integration is we have become frequency. And it really takes us into density and reminds us how important it is that we are dense, but also that we are frequency. And it's, we can be both. We can live in this total freedom and power and still be here on earth to finish our important mission. So, and that's another reason why I felt like the music was so important that I spend so much time making sure that it's right. And each integration in each series, there's 8 total now. Each of them has their own unique sounds that go with the message.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, that's one of the most exciting parts of creating the integrations is just the new music that is going to come out of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think in today's society, all of us learned physics, like Newtonian physics, like everything is solid. But in quantum physics, it shows that everything is very malleable, nothing is that solid. And for those who don't change or find it difficult to change, it's because they believe that we live in a very 3D reality. Everything's solid. But it's only a perception, and it's that perception, or even it's a projection. It's that projection that is limiting us. And I think that can really explain some of the unusual things that we experience in in the spirit realm. For example, alternative healing, like energy healing. Some sessions, like Qigong sessions, Reiki sessions, if you work with a really good practitioner, they can help you resolve core issues in a matter of sessions. And there are cancer patients, their doctors tell them that they only have 6 months to live, but after they practice alternative healing like medicine, like Qigong or Reiki, some of them live like 30 years after they had cancer. So I think frequencies and healing by connecting with source energy, that can explain some of the miracles.
Yeah, I don't remember which meditation that this message came through, but that exact thing in different words, of course, came through in one of them, and maybe you remember which one, but it was about that we have these gifts. We think about them as, oh, only like some powerful guru has this ability, or only whatever is on the other side of this earth dimension has that ability. But the messaging was that no, as humans, we have this ability to shift frequencies, to change matter, to act, to move matter with our minds. Like it, all of these kinds of gifts, prophecy and telepathy, um, are like, they belong to us. We're here to use them, we're here to connect with them. So this makes sense what you're saying about quantum physics, and how things are not what we've thought that they were. Things are not what, traditionally people say they are. And this galactic partner integration takes you right into the depths of that, and just throws you in there and shrinks you down into density, and then brings you up into this big stretched being. uh, so many so many of the messages in GPI are about this exact
Mhm.
thing.
Maybe 100 years, several hundred years ago, even like around Jesus' time or before Jesus' time, there's a lot of sacred knowledge about this. People at the time know that if you want to develop psychic ability, it's best to develop it before you are 12, 13 years old, before you hit puberty. Because when you go through puberty, like your channels are open, like everything's changing. It's a perfect time to develop your psychic and the spiritual abilities. But in today's society, like we kind of lost this kind of awareness already. And when we see teenagers behave kind of sometimes erratically, we think, no, there's something wrong with them. But I think it can be like there's so much energy going through in a teenager, and but we do not know how to channel these energies.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought. um One of the main reasons why I knew that GPI was important is because it was going to bring people closer to their own connection with their guides, their higher awareness, their higher self, and help people channel all of that more effectively. And so in the first series, it sort of prepared people for that. There was a lot of light language. There was clearings in those channeled messages. And then in the second one thing that was really, really important was an activation of crystals in our body that would actually help us feel sound and feel colors. And it was like this new type of clairaudience that was activated within us through sacred geometry and crystals within our body. So that kind of makes me think about what you were saying about teenagers. Is that sounds crazy, right? That sounds crazy talk, but that's what happened. And I know a lot of people experienced their awareness of their guides just by listening to the galactic partner integrations. And people had dreams that showed that their clairaudience was being activated. And the whole message was that this is not something where you're going to hear through your ear, through the apparatus of your physical structure. It was this spiritual and elemental activation, but it still belonged in our physical body, which is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I feel like our body is just a vessel, but there are so many different aspects and elements that can exist within our body. Sometimes it's even invisible. Illness exists in our spirit body first before it manifests in the physical body. And everything happens in our life. In the physical world, it exists in the spirit world first, and then it manifests in the physical world. And a lot of times when we get a vision or when we hear messages about like our future, it usually tells us something that needs our attention, but it's not really a prediction. It usually tells you because you have the ability to change the reality by changing your frequency and your feelings. And our baseline frequencies actually does not change that much unless if you work on yourself consistently, then you will see a change and you will see an increase in about a year or 2 years. So it's not like when you think positive thoughts and then you feel excited, suddenly your vibration becomes high. Your baseline vibration doesn't change that much. And that's why programs like yours are very, very important because it helps us get into the core issues. And it is through working through these core issues and release the negative and stagnant feelings, energies around these issues. That's how we are able to raise our core vibrations.
Like in raising your vibration, all about connection, connection with people, with our with galactic beings, with the
Yeah.
elements. It's and these are some of the messages that came through GPI, is that we are not separate. It took us, like in the first GPI, it took us to a place where we noticed and felt complete separation. And then it stretched us out and took us way up high to where we could not any longer feel separated. There's no way that we could feel separated anymore. It brought us to a place where we understood that we are all one. Jane and Janise are the same. We are so connected. And that's what I liked about these meditations, is that I felt so connected to everybody that was there. I really felt like we were together on the same page, here for the same reason, and we all wanted to experience what we came here to experience and help other people, help raise up other people. And I think that the people who came to these integrations were so important because the questions they ask and the answers that came through are they are on these recordings. And people who buy the recordings now are going to hear all of those messages. So the people who came were the people that exactly needed to be there and are the leaders and the ones who are opening up their frequencies to other people to lead them to raise their vibration.
Mhm.
And I even remember that was one of the messages that came through, is that we need to do that. We need to put ourselves out there and to not doubt and fear being seen anymore, because these people who are not as high a vibration as we are, these people who haven't been able to do the work that we have over the last whatever handful of years, we're so important to them because we're helping them, we're pulling them along with us. And this is eventually just like a series of connections that is going to raise the vibration of the planet enough so that we can safely and comfortably live in this new compassion that is coming through. And that was another message in GPI, was that there's a new compassion, a new frequency of compassion that is starting to come through, either in this dimension or we are moving into the dimension in which it exists, which I think it's that second one. but it is compassion that we have not experienced. We don't even know how to describe yet. And GPI was preparing us and moving us towards that new compassion. So that's really exciting when you think about being connected with people, and when you think about all of the horrible things that are happening here on earth, and that all we have to do is raise our vibration.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do. We have to do our mission. And then we, just by doing that, we are part of ending all of the horrible things that are happening. I even remember one of the messages. One of the times we met was maybe the day before or 2 days before the American elections. And there was a question about how do we maintain our space, and I don't remember exactly what the question was, but the one of the answers was, it's time to end the madness, it's time to end the polarity. And
Yeah.
I think it was like, you have to touch people, you have to stop being separated. So
Yes. Yeah. Great, great message. There's so much layers beneath it. Because I think we truly know that we're interconnected and feel that we're interconnected with everyone else. It's actually easier for us to establish boundaries with others too. Because like for us, we have very high vibrations, and it's very important that for us to come together with the right people so that our energy can amplify and help others. It's important, like when you feel something's off, when you feel the energy of a connection's off, it's very important for us to listen to that as well. Because by welcoming these non-beneficial energies, that can actually interfere with our progression. However, sometimes I feel when we allow non-beneficial energies into our life, is because part of us don't feel connection with that. And because we care about relations so much, we want to connect with other people. But lack of a feeling of connecting with others actually prevent us from putting up boundaries towards things and people energies that's not beneficial, because we want connections so much. But when we truly feel that we're already connected with others, we actually create a space for ourselves and allow others to be who they are, but also be able to maintain proper distance and proper boundaries.
I remember one of the messages that came through. There was a question similar to that. And it was that as we continue to move ourselves where we want to be, um, we are not going to even resonate or even notice those other, let's say, vibrations, or as you said, those that we want to create boundaries with. We won't even notice that anymore. And I think that that's part of the transition of becoming one, is we accept all parts of ourselves, we accept all parts of everything that is out there, everything that is in existence. And there was one of the recordings that tells us, and I don't know if it just kind of told us vibrationally, I just don't remember, or if it, like, it's actually comes out in the words, but it's about that we are all light and fragments and reflections and dark and everything. There's no there's no I, really, although there is that, like, that's what we experience. But when we say I, we mean we, or us. And so there will be a time when we don't have that awareness that we are outside of somebody else, and then we won't feel the need to make any sort of conscious boundaries because we will recognize the other person within ourselves and we will accept it.
Yeah, I think that was actually my question, and I really pondered on it.
That's what I
So,
was thinking. It sounded like a very Jane question.
yeah, because in my life, I meet a lot of these people, and because I am someone who always like to help others, partially because of a uh, cultural or parental conditioning, I realize that it's important for us to keep raising our vibration, but during the process, you need to be very careful about who you can take on board with you. Because some people's frequency, some people's intention towards you can absolutely derail you. So eventually you want to get to the point of you love yourself and accept yourself so much that you can be with anybody. You can be around anybody and you don't feel a thing and you don't feel triggered at all. But during the process, it's important that you protect yourself and you surround yourself with the right people who are able to help you heal from the past, have a higher and broader awareness, and develop this unconditional love, compassion, acceptance within yourself. It's almost like when there's a wound, you need to put a bandage on it first, and later on, like when it's healed, no matter who touched the healed wound, you won't feel a thing. But if you have a wound on your body and then you keep it open, somebody uh assault on it, you're gonna feel a lot of pain. People may not do it purposefully. They may just do it because of their own conditioning. Nobody is consciously or intentionally to hurt you. Some people hurt you because they want to protect themselves, because that's how they were taught. And they think maybe through jealousy or through harmful words to bring you down, like they can protect themselves, they can protect their own ego because there's so much hurt within themselves. But if you, at this point you are in the process of learning how to love, accept yourself unconditionally, then it's important for you to keep these people away, at least for now. And later on, when you're healed, when you're around them, it just doesn't bother you anymore.
Yeah, but it's definitely a process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a process.